Where is the best source to learn how the Ana B'Koach, that's one of the prayers that we say, for example, on Friday evening, which the 42 letters, which is correspond to the first 42 letters of Bereshis. What is the permutation? Okay, Rabbi Dovber is going to respond to that.
Obviously, I'm not going to explain that in detail, but I would just say that if you want to find the source for that, I think that was the question, right? Where's the source? You could look in the Pardes Reminim from Moshe Cardavero. He actually explains this, and in sort of somewhat detail. And also, there's a very important book called Inner Worlds of Jewish Prayer. And at the back of that book, there's like a 30-page piece on the Ana B'Koach that goes through the acronyms of those words and how they relate to the 7 days of the week. Because Ana B'Koach is they're different sacred names from Hai Gaon, one of the early Gaonim in the 9th century, wrote that they correspond to different divine names, and each line of the Ana B'Koach corresponds to another day of the week. So if you look at that book, Inner Worlds of Jewish Prayer, in the back you can find all the details. There is a paradox in existence that I think Nathaniel was talking about, and I think the way we understand it is as follows. There's a level of reality where we're separate from God, from the source. Symptom feels really real. We long, we yearn, we strive, we desire to get connected. We feel ourselves as finite in yearning and longing to feel that sense of infinity. So there's a sense of lack, of chesed, of emptiness, of something that's missing, and we're trying to fill that gap. That's the world of duality. Then there's the world of infinity, where everything is already perfect, everything is already whole, there's nowhere to go and there's nothing to do. And all you can do is just be present, or makom. And the ultimate understanding of this is that they're not mutually exclusive. It's not there's either the paradigm of a world of duality or a paradigm of a world of unity, and either a person is functioning in a level of the weekday, which is choil, empty, longing, yearning, striving, working, and practicing, or on the level of Shabbos, Shabbat, which is kol malachta chasuya, everything's already perfect, you're already whole, there's nothing to do. All you have to do is just open yourself and be present. Shabbos, we don't do anything. There's nothing to do on Shabbos. I mean, as Jews, we fill our time with doing things, because otherwise what are we going to do? But really, the idea of Shabbos really means you do nothing. But we don't know what it means to do nothing. But the point is that there are two simultaneously truths that actually function paradoxically as one. There's a part of reality, or a paradigm within reality, where everything is still incomplete, not whole, and striving and longing and trying to practice to get to that place of unity. And there's the unity that's always present. And the ultimate transcendence is inclusive. It's an inclusive transcendence that includes both unity and disunity. So there seems to be a conflict between the halachic definition of prayer, which simply, according to Jewish law, the definition of prayer is bakashot, is to request. There's a famous argument between the Rambam and the Ramban, Maimonides, Nachmanides, if there's a biblical mitzvah to pray every day. And the Ramban holds that it's not, but when there is a need, there's a necessity, there's something that you need, you're lacking, and you're yearning for it, then there's a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to pray. So Bakashas Srachav, the requests, the recognition that your life is dependent on a higher force is essential to prayer. And yet from a more panemius, like a more internal understanding of prayer, prayer is really about dveikos, about really connecting, unifying, feeling the unity with Hashem, transcendence, clarity, openness, expansiveness. This is what you're trying to achieve in prayer. And you're going through different stages of prayer until you reach that state. So it seems almost as these two things are contradictory, because if you are in a state of dveikos and you're in a state of completely feeling the oneness and unity with God, so what does it matter that your toe is hurting? Like, that's really not what's going to bother you at that point. Bakashat Srachav. And yet, if you don't pray for a button that you lost, that's a lack of prayer. The Chassidic masters say that Parnasa is the numeric value of neshama. If you don't pray for livelihood, it means that your soul, you don't really believe in your soul. So what was the question? Oh, what was the nature? Right. So, yeah. No. So,
connected, but it was a separate question, which is, so people want to hear more about the different names of God.
Okay, let's just figure that. So what we're saying is that the idea of prayer is that the Baal Shem Tov teaches that we don't daven, we don't pray to God. God prays through us. That we don't ask God to fulfill a need, but the shlach de burch of yaseh shluchuscha, the actual praying itself creates the reality. So what happens in prayer, very quick, is that a person, through going through the process of the stages of prayer, first feeling the body and aligning the body and the recognition that the body is a medium and a way to connect to something higher, and then opening ourselves emotionally and expanding the ruach, and then the mind, and then when you finally get to the peak of prayer, which is the Amidah, a person starts saying the words, Rafa'inu Hashem, please heal me. At this point, you're becoming co-creators with the Creator who created through speech. Hashem's created the world is created through these divine vibrations with the 10 utterances, and they're all different tzirufim, all different combinations. So everything that we see in this world is really the matter that comes from the energy, which is really another form of vibration, which is vibrating with a certain spiritual quality that's giving life to this reality. And when a person prays in a state of dveikos, in a state of unity, they, through their mouthing these words, Efrainu Hashem, heal me, you're actually creating healing in this process. So it's not bakasha srachav, it's not that you're asking for your needs, but on the ultimate perspective of life, if there's any death or illness or war or poverty or non-clarity, if there's any chesarn, if there's anything in the bria, anything part of the creation that's still in a state of lack, that means that Hashem's presence is not yet fully revealed. So when you're saying, heal me, we're saying that the world, in order for there to be the expression fully of Hashem's presence in this world, everyone needs to be healthy, everyone needs to be happy, everyone has to have clarity, everything, the world has to be in a perfect state. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Dober, Rabbi Pinson.
Okay, gewaldig.
The fun part.
I think we're hearing two perspectives, but I think the basic difference is don't know if I can do this in 3 minutes, but we'll try, is that there's two strands in the development and the revelation of the Torah. There's a Torah that's revealed at Sinai, which is predominantly halachic Torah, the Torah of practice. And there's the Torah that's going to be revealed in the times of Mashiach, which is the spiritual practice. So there are two movements. On one hand, you're moving further away from Matan Torah, and therefore, when there's a debate between the sages of the Talmud or the sages of the Mishnah, we follow the Mishnah. And there's a debate between the Nevi'im, between the prophets and the Mishnah, we follow the Nevi'im. And if something says in Torah Shebiksav, we follow what it says in the written Torah. Because the closer we are to Sinai, the more true that voice is. That's within the strand of the halachic aspect. And in the halachic aspect, functions in the world of duality. It functions, like I said before, it functions from a place of chesed, where we feel absence, where we feel that the body, the physicality, is separate from the spirituality, and we're seeking to become more spiritual. There's the body, and there's the soul. There's the vessel, and there's the light. And the vessel is always cleaving and trying to become more light-like. This is the world of the Torah that's revealed at Sinai. And then there's the inner Torah, which will become ultimately revealed with the coming of Mashiach, the revelation of Mashiach, which is the revealing of the pnimius, the inner aspects of the Torah. And here, it actually works reverse. The closer we get to Mashiach, the more true the voice becomes. So as we're getting closer and closer, it's becoming more revealed. And what is that? What is that revelation? So on one hand, you're talking from the soul and the body as two separate parts. That's very classic Judaism. This is classic Musar, Hashkafa, Jewish philosophy, Talmud. This is the way the Talmud looks at it. This is the way it's defined. The body is the vessel, the soul is the light. The light fills the vessel, and therefore we pay more attention to the light because we're trying to get higher. From the other perspective, which is moving the other direction, paradoxically, the lower is actually higher. And therefore it says that in the time of Mashiach, which is a very strange statement, that the neshama nezenes min haguf, the soul will actually receive nourishment from the body. So now we have nourishment, the body receives nourishment, the vessel receives nourishment from the soul. But in the future, it's the opposite. Because in the hierarchy of things, physicality is lower than spirituality. So if you're trying to get spiritual, you become less physical. And the less physical you are, the more spiritual you become. But from the inverse perspective, the ultimate expression of the essence of the Creator, which is beyond infinity, is specifically in the physical. Because the physicality is not actually an expression, spirituality is an expression, so therefore that's an expression of a divine light. But physicality itself is rooted, the essence of physicality is rooted in the essence of the Creator. So as we get closer to the Messianic time, we come to the recognition that the body is actually the source of everything. And therefore, it's interesting that even this conversation is happening today. Or like even from the revelation of the Zohar, which is already the beginning that we believe that we're getting the intimation of the time of Mashiach, and then the revealing of the Arizal, and certainly with the revealing of the Torah of Baal Shem, the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov and Chassidus, is really the recognition that the physical action, the physical body has tremendous value. And in a way, so much, it's even holier, even though it's very hard to say the word holy, but the guf itself is actually where the essence of the Creator is expressed in the guf. So the fact that modern man speaks about, or is asking the question, or Jews are asking the question, how come we don't have a embodied experience? This is actually a part of the revelation. This is the revelation of Knesset Yisrael, of the collective, subconscious, prophetic image of the nation of Israel that seeks body practices, because this is the revelation of the body as a sacred space where the essence of the Creator would be revealed.
Thank you.
I think this is the question. The question doesn't deserve, or is not needed. What's not needed is an intellectual answer. There was one time a very famous Hasidic master, the Alter Rebbe, that when he came to Shklov, he came to a city, and it was a new phenomenon, Hasidus. So they asked him a lot of questions, and there was a lot of opposition to his ideas and the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. So he said, instead of me answering one by one, all of you ask your questions. Everyone asked a question. And he says, I'm going to answer all your questions, but before I answer the question, I'm going to sing a niggun. Did it yo you do, da 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 da. That's not the niggun, but that's the niggun that I want to sing. Did it da 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 da. Did it yo you do, da 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 da. Did it da 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 ya da da da. Did it da 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 da. Do you do da 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 da, did da 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 da, did yo da 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 da. The question cannot be answered; it has to be experienced. We have to feel Hashem's presence everywhere. I can't say how. I can't intellectualize it. I can't explain it to you. But when a person is going through hardships, and sometimes is some type of breakthrough, and they feel connected, they just feel it. They feel the answer without actually understanding how and how does it work. You know, the Eish Kodesh, talking to Piasetzna, which is a horrifying sefer in many ways, very troublesome sefer. He writes there in the middle of one of his, I think it's Parsha Kisave, one of the early years, 1943 or 42 still, but already after he lost, I think, his child and his wife. And he talks about hearing Hashem's presence through the voice of man. And he says that a person has to live to hear the echo of Hashem's presence through every single voice. When I was reading it, I was thinking that the voice that he was hearing was a Nazi murderer. And somehow he was able to say that. I can't explain it. I don't think he could explain it. This is the way we choose to live. We choose to live with Hashem's presence always, everywhere. And sometimes theologically we don't understand how. The actual, how do you hold your body when you pray to be actually the proper conduit to receive prayer. So they once asked a famous Hasidic Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, his son asked him, what is the Chiddush of Chassidus? What did Chassidus come to reveal to the world? And this great master, one of the greatest masters of Chassidus, probably published the most text of any Rebbe, said they never thought about the question. So I never thought, what's the Chiddush? Why didn't he think about it? Because to him, it was life. It wasn't something that enriched his life. That's the way he lived. This is his life. So to me, I can't really answer the question so well because I was born into this, so it's very hard for me to say how it enriched my life. I don't know what life means without. I don't know what it means to live without this. To me, it's like it's oxygen. If a person wants to live the way I think, this is a person has to live this way. For myself, I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is the way I think life is. So I don't know what to answer. That's why I said maybe Nathaniel.
What's the best part of your life?
I love my life. Every moment is full with passion and wonder and excitement and ischachas, renewal. To look at this world, I'll give you a little short story. I had a grandfather, a very famous chassid called Rav Mayar. Totally probably remembers him.
I do.
You saw the picture with Mazeda and Shlomo for praying?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Anyways, it was a very famous chassid, And he passed away. He used to pray for 5-6 hours every day. He was a very, very, very holy big Jew. And many years later, he passed away 25 years ago. One of his grandchildren was having a bar mitzvah, and one of his children, his name was Avram. Like one of my children is also named Avram, named after him. And they did a little video clip, so they asked my uncles to say something about their father. My uncle's already getting older. So one uncle said, oh, he prayed for so many hours. The other one, he said he learned for so many hours. Everyone said something. And then one of my uncles said, I think, which is the most important thing. He said he never saw his father, even breaking a twig. He said, my father was so in love with this world that he saw everything as alive with chayas, that he said he certainly would never kill even an ant intentionally. But he said, I never even saw my father walking and breaking a twig off a branch. So to live with aliveness and with ischachus, I think that's what life's all about.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.